So matter if you want to go back, just close and load back. Then you need to close it and go back to the sheet where it was. So here, pivot table. We're trying to
Sorry,
look
ma.
at. All
Let me
right.
say something. I
Okay.
actually did the assignment for S Match, but I joined the call it yesterday.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay.
I,
All right.
I
So did you join with your system or you're
no, I
using your
was
phone?
not quickly join with my system now.
Okay, okay, no problem. Once you join with your system, let me know. Before we move to the Power Query aspect, I would ask you to share your screen so that you can show us what S match is used for and how you can use it to look up for position of. I just said it, but I would give you time to share your screen and share with us. All right, so pivot table. I was talking about how that you can also create calculated items and calculated fields in your pivot table. How that calculated fields are those fields that you create in pivot table based on the existing data. Why for items? Still the same thing. Items you create based on the existing data you have before on your pivot table. So what do I mean? We have two questions here. We have to find which salesperson achieved the highest revenue per unit sold. And for us to do this, you have to add a calculated field that this revenue per unit will be total sales divided by units sold. Then you group by salesperson. So first thing first. Now the reason why when I come here to the pivot table, the reason why I'm unable to add this the reason why these options are grayed out, the calculated field items are grayed out, is because when I wanted to create this pivot table from the range here, I checked the option add to data model. So the only time maybe someone is wondering what then is now the usefulness of adding your data to data model. Adding your data to data model when creating your pivot table gives you makes you to be able to use some power pivot features like you want to create data model or you want to create calculated columns or you want to generate some KPIs or measures using DAX in Power Pivot. But one of the reasons apart from using the Power Pivot features, you might not understand what Power Pivot is now, but after Power Query move to Power Pivot, one of the reasons why I use Power Pivots, I mean why I add my data to data model, apart from the fact that I want to be able to use the Power Pivot features is because adding my data to data model, I'll be able to use distinct counts. What do I mean? Now, let's go back. Let's say I will generate a new sheet for pivot table and I'll not add data to data model. What do I mean? Let me select this data, Control Shift, rightwards, downwards. Then I'm going to go to insert and I would insert it into pivot table from table arrange. Then when this table pops up, if you remember yesterday, I checked this box, add this data to data model. So it will add it to the Power Pivot. But I'm not going to check this box this time around. And I would say, okay, I want it to be on a new worksheet. I'll hit OK. So we'll have a new worksheet. I'm going to give this, I'll just rename to um add to, no, not added to model. Just give it to differentiate it. Not added to model. Then for this one, I would rename this to added to model. So we could be able to differentiate. Now, just like I explained earlier, apart from the fact that adding your data to model would help you to be able to use some power pivot features. One of the reasons why I also add my data to model is, let's say, for example, let's look at our data here. I'm sure here we have some duplicates here, right? Duplicate of some customers, Michael Brown, Michael Brown, Michael Brown, Michael Brown. We have duplicate of the name. If I want to count the number of salespersons that we have here, count. Count will also count the number of times that the person's name appear. So if Michael Brown, even if we have just 5 salesperson and Michael Brown's name appeared more than 5 times here, using the count function would count the number of it will count Michael Brown, including the number of times he appeared on that sheet. What do I mean? Let me use this one that not added to model. If I want to count the number of salespersons, I'll come here, then I'll drag this salesperson, I'll drag it to the values feed because I want it to count. Then it will count 50 persons. If I try to change this to distinct count so that it will count only unique number of salespersons, let me scroll down. I won't find the distance count option. I would find some average, max, mean, but I will never find the distance count. But when I add my data to data model, I'll be able to do that. What do I mean? Let me go back to the one where I added the data to data model. Then I'm going to copy this, Control C, Control V. Then I would remove this total sales from here and I'll drag this salesperson So I'll drag the salesperson to this place. So I'm waiting for it. Yeah, it's showing count. If I want to show distinct count, I'll come here, click on drop down, then value fit setting. If I scroll down, I get to see distinct count here, and I'll hit OK. So to give you the total, the number of salesperson that you have. So you can see here, the unique number of salesperson that we have is 5. But the count function counted the duplicate. Even if we have 5 salesperson, it also counted the number of times they appeared on that sheet. So one of the reasons why I add my data to data model, I check that box is because I want to use this things count feature, the function to count or do some stuff. So for that calculated fit and item, if you want to do it on your pivot table, make sure that that box is not checked. If you add data to data model, it will not work. So for this one that we did not add data to data model, I'm going to add salesperson from that question here. The question is add, okay, which salesperson achieved the highest revenue per unit sold? And I told us how to, there's a way to do that. So add the calculated field, which is going to be revenue per unit. Then would have total sales divided by units sold. So let's just come here and add revenue per unit. I'm going to copy this pivot table, Control C, then I'll paste it, Control V, and I'll leave salesperson. I'll drag this out, check salesperson, check, let me check the total sales. So this is for each of the salespersons here. I'll rename this salesperson. All right, so please, if you have questions, I wasn't able to enable the chat box for us to use today. So if you have questions, just raise your hands. I'll check to see those that raise their hands and allow them to unmute themselves and talk. Please, if you have questions, just raise your hands. I would check and let you ask your questions, and we'll move on after that. And after the class, once you are done with the class, just click on, I pinned the attendance link on the WhatsApp. Just go there and tick your name that you joined to this class. So that's all. So I'm going back here now. Give this salesperson. Okay, so we have this now. I want to find revenue per, from this question, revenue per unit. And the formula is going to be total sales divided by the unit sold. Total sales divided by unit sold. So I'll go back to this pivot table that I did not add to the data model. Select anywhere on your pivot table, maybe on this part that contains the
Hello,
numerical
Miss
value.
Blessing.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah,
I
you
can hear
see
you.
Omolara that complained about these teams last week.
Okay, ma'am. You can't see my
You
screen?
can't see anything.
Who else cannot see my screen?
I think the network is. I think the network is stronger for these teams. So, and you know, network is bad due to the weather.
Okay, so your network is bad, right? Oh my God.
Yes, let's say it's Zoom now, it will consume lesser data and
Yes,
lesser
yes,
network connection.
yes. Yeah, sorry. On
So I'm
Sundays,
just
anytime.
calling your attention because of the attendance of
Yeah.
Mr. Samuel that I used to post so that
No, I'm sorry I'm sorry. For Sundays, maybe I think my own class would just we only do classes on Sunday for my own Excel class. After Excel class, other classes will be on Fridays and Saturdays, so we won't have to use Teams for that. We'll use Zoom so that we don't have this issue. I'm sorry about that. So sorry. But I would,
all
God,
right.
you can, I don't know, maybe find a place where you have a good connection and you'll be able to log out and log in again so that you can see what we are doing. Or maybe use your phone. I don't know.
Oh,
Anyone. All right. So thank you.
yeah, I'm using my phone actually. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we are here. Want to add revenue per unit. So I'll select anywhere on this value, this place that contains the values, the numerical values. Select anywhere. Then come to your pivot table analyzed, and you'd see in the calculation group, click on the drop down button beside feeds, items, and set. Click on that. You can see now we have these buttons active. Of course, the only one that will be active is this calculated field because I selected the numerical, the column that contains numerical value. So I'll select calculated field. Then we have this insert calculated feed dialog box that pops up and it's saying, okay, what is the name of the feed you want to calculate? I'm going to say, okay, the name of the feed is revenue per cost per unit, revenue per unit. revenue per unit. Okay, so what is going to be the formula? The formula is total revenue divided by units sold. Total revenue. So I can just, total sales, not revenue, nice. Total sales. Total is either you type it in or you just come here, select the column, double click on it, double click like this, total sales, then divided by slash for division, divided by what? By the unit sold. It's either you double click or you select the unit sold and click on insert feed. Then it will insert it. So once I'm done, I'm going to hit OK. So can you see we have a new column here in this pivot table that is showing the revenue per unit. So you can see for Chris Taylor, the revenue per unit sold is this. So you can always, let me reduce decimals for this. So come here to my home tab and I'll reduce decimals. So for Chris Taylor, this is the revenue per unit sold for him as a salesperson. Then for Michael Brown, this is the revenue per unit sold. For John Doe, this is how you. So with calculated field option, you can add, create a column, aggregate a column based on the existing data. Based on the data we have before on that table, we're able to generate this. This wasn't on the table, but we just used calculated fee to generate this. If I want to find maybe commission, we're giving 20% commission to them, to those salesperson based on the total sales they made. To do that again, I'm going to come here, select anywhere on the numerical field, then go back to pivot table analyze, and I would say calculate field. So you can add. I'm going to add, let's give this commission. And it's to find commission, we have to find, give 20% to them. So it's going to be 20% shift 8 multiplied by what? The total price. And I would hit either add or OK. And you can see we have the commission given to each of this person. So what if I want to delete it? I don't want to have it there. Just go back to pivot table analyze. Then you can see feed items and sets. Click on calculated field. Then you'd come here. The drop down button beside this, you can see those feeds you calculated. Revenue per unit, commission. If I want to delete revenue per unit, select this and you see delete. Delete it. Then hit OK. You won't find it here again. This is how you add calculated feeds to your pivot table. Then the next one is the calculated items. These calculated items is if you want to, let's say for example, let's do for region. So I'm going to highlight this. Let me just copy this one. Control C, Control V. I'm going to do sales by the sales by region. Uncheck this, check region, then put total sales to it. You can see commission here. That calculated feed calculated. You can see it here in commission. So do anyone want to say something? I can hear sound. Does anybody want to say something? All right. So we have east, north, south, and west. So what if we have another region? We want to add a region, southeast or southwest. Let me use southwest. And we made to understand that southwest, this sum of sales made in southwest is a combination of the north and the south region. So I want to add a new item here. So when you want to add a new item, make sure to select somewhere here in the rows, this row label here. I'm going to change this from row label to region. If you want to add a calculated item, another item, maybe I want to add the southwest now, it's going to select somewhere here on the anywhere on these items here. Select it, then go to the pivot table analyzed and click on drop down so you can see calculated items. It's now active. So I'll click on this. Then what is the formula? I'll name this. What are you going to name the formula? I'll name this southwest. So what is the formula? The formula is that you're going to add the north, double click on this, plus the south. Either select this and insert item or you double click. So I'm forming another region, southwest, by summing the sales made in the total, made in the north and in the south, I mean. And I'm going to hit OK. So can you see we have another region here, southwest. And the total sales is a combination of the north and the south to get this. So this is a calculated item, is southwest. This commission column is calculated field. Does anybody understand what I just did now? Any question? Or you're lost? You want me to find you? So,
Sorry, can you?
all right. Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, on the calculation part, you said
Okay.
southwest, but you selected
So
north and south. I think
now let
so.
me.
I'm a bit
No,
confused
I'm
on that part.
saying, hold on. I'm saying that the logic is that we are made to understand that to get the total sales for Southwest is when you combine the sales made in the North and the South together, it will form the Southwest. So that was what I did. Or I don't understand. The to form the Southwest, we made to understand that, oh, looking at the sales made in the North and in the South, combining them together forms the sales made in the Southwest region. And that was what I did to get the Southwest. Or you still don't get, or what is it
No,
exactly?
I'm just looking at the region. As in, like the region does not match like the region of south and the west.
No, 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 no. It's not about the South and the West. No, it's not about the South and the West. So if I'm talking to you now, I say, I'm just talking to you to tell you how much we made in some regions, and I'm like, the money made in Southwest is like twice of what was made in the North, or what was made in the South and the North. So it doesn't have to be because it's Southwest. So the region, it has to be South and West. No, no, no. I'm just saying, if you are saying that the amount made in the Southwest is when you combine the North and the South, it also form that amount. I'll just show you how you can add calculated items to your data. So if you have any questions around this, just let me know. But don't forget, I said anytime you check that add to data model box, those options for items, calculated items and field they will not be active. So for you to be able to use this option, make sure that when you are creating a pivot table, don't check that box of add data to the model. That's the only way you can use this. And also, one thing again is anytime you want to use calculated field or item, make sure that any of the pivot table is not using the average function. What do I mean? So let's say I'm using count of. Let me remove this. Let me remove this too. The calculated field and the item. I'm going to remove them. So you see something now. Delete. Okay, so I'll do the same thing for the. So let's calculated item. So I'll also delete. So you see something. If I change, let's assume I change this from count of salesperson, or let me just use, I want to find average sales. So I'll copy this, Control C, and I'll bring it here, Control V. Then I'll uncheck this and check total sales. Then I'll change this from sum to average. Anytime you have any of your pivot table calculated using either average or standard deviation or variance, you will not be able to use calculated field and item. Now let's see what happens if I try to create calculated fields here again for this particular pivot table. Come here and I'll hit, I want to create calculated field. So let's see. Let me say, let's give it commission. And I would say 20%. Shift 8, 20% multiplied by the total sales. Then hit OK. It even worked. When I was using the 2021 Pro version, I guess because it wasn't bringing it out. To tell you that because you use average, standard deviation, or variance, it would not work. You can try that at your end and see if it works. But I don't know why it's even working now. Before I used to try it out and it would not work. It will tell you anytime you use it average or standard deviation or variance, it's not going to show. So let's see for this one, if I try to create calculated field, if it's going to work too. Oh yeah, calculated field, you can see. So I think it worked for calculated field, but for item, it didn't work. You're seeing averages, standard deviations, and variance are not supported when a pivot table report has calculated items. Oh, it's for calculated items, not calculated field. So anytime you have any of a pivot table calculated using average, and you want to calculate or create a calculated item, it's not going to work because of that. So note that. Thank you. So, all right, someone was saying something. who was the person that did the S match assignment? So can you put us through now, or we should move on? Are you there?
Okay, I'm actually the one.
Okay, so hold on, please. Priscilla, are you there? Priscilla
Yes,
raised
I
her
want to
hand.
share my screen.
Okay, okay, okay. All right, so I'll stop sharing now, so you can share yours. All right, so you can share your
Okay.
screen now with us. Okay, so you're
Can
waiting.
everybody see my screen now?
Yeah, yeah, I can see your screen now.
Okay. So the okay, now for the S match,
Yes.
I just did this example. It actually
Okay.
shows the position, it returns the relative position of an item in an array. So
Okay.
in this particular column, I have 10 fruits. So it's going to show us the position of the particular fruits that we want to actually see in
Okay.
this array. Now,
Okay.
what the difference between this S match and match is that when we are using S match, we have four functions, like you have four values there. Yeah, let
Okay.
me
Sorry, hold on.
do this
By
in
value, are you talking about this lookup value, lookup array, match mode, and
no
search
no
mode?
no no no
Okay. So
in
what
the
do you mean by
search
values?
mode, the match mode, sorry, we have like four different things we can actually use. We have zero, we have one, we have -1 and two. And one
Okay.
special thing about the S match is the white card.
Okay.
Yes, that particular one. So I'm just going to do an example so we understand what I mean. So for S match, if I want to look at the position of grapes,
Okay.
that's the lookup value is a grape I want to see, comma, the lookup area, I'll just select this column. Then the match value, the match mode, that's what I was trying to explain before. It returns zero for the exact, you can put zero to check for the exact match, or -1, the exact match or next smaller item, then one, exact match or next larger item, then two, white card character match. Now this white card character match is what is actually peculiar to the S match function, because it does not really work with the, we don't have it in the match function, it's just in
Okay.
the S match function. So if I
Okay.
put zero now, then enter, we are going to have the post. So three now is indicating that okay, what we are actually looking for is grapes. And another thing, it is actually, if I don't want to write b b4 here, and I want to type out, if I don't want to, and I want to put this thing, I just want to write the grapes.
Okay.
GRAP. So it's still going to give me the same position, and we can actually use those we can actually use that -1 or one to check if it's case sensitive or not, to just check for that other one. And this is how, let me just show you how the white card function works. So I
Okay.
will have this, I can just pick the particular fruit I want. Let me just start typing again. So equal to S match, then open bracket, I have this. Okay. Now, what it actually does is that it will check for the position in the array to see which, if I just imagine I'm working with an Excel sheet, and I want to find the position of an item that starts with letter S in this place. Now, instead of me to start doing a lot of things, sorry, I think I missed that. Instead of me to start looking for everything to check, okay, what am I going to use as my X for to start looking for X. I just want to check in this column now which of the fruit starts with letter S. So I'm going to put this, do it like this, write X there, then put a star after it, then close
Okay.
the parenthesis. Then my lookup array, I will do this, then I can use 0 as my exact match. Okay, I think I have an error. Let me see. Oh, sorry. I'm using the white card, so I'm supposed to use 2 there. So 6. So it's actually bringing out the position of this strawberry. So
Okay.
that's it about the S match. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. So I want to believe we've been able to pick one or two from what she said. So X match is more advanced than, well done, is more advanced than the match function. Both are used for looking up for the position of a data from a table. So she has done justice to what S match is used for. So thank you so much, Priscilla. Thank you. All right. So I think we can move on now to the next thing. We'll be moving on to the Power Query part. So I'm sharing my screen now. Okay, so I'm just going to close this. We are done with this part. I'll show us how to use calculated fields and calculated items. So I'll close this, then open up a new. Okay. So yeah, we have, this is the sheet you're working on. So I'm going to go back to the Power Query aspect, then edit. So we're looking at we tried out some basic transformation yesterday, where we look at how to transform our data, how to remove headers, how to make the first row, make them headers, how to remove some top rows. We look at how to split our columns based on delimiter, and how to extract from columns. So today we'll be looking at more data transformation using Power Query. Then we'll start looking at other features like how to merge your columns together, how to add custom columns, index column, and group by feature. We'll look at many of them today, so let's not worry. All right, first thing first, let's look at the data type. I was explaining how that we have different data type. We have decimal, number, currency, whole number, percentage, date and time, down to, and if you want to change using locale. So I'll be giving us an assignment after this class, and I'm very sure we're still going to come back next week, Friday, to look at it together, because it's going to shake some of us. That's just the students' assignments to make us question what we've learned from the class. Okay, so first thing, we're going to look at each of these data type. Order ID, because it contains numerical values, it takes 1 to 3. But what if I don't want to, because I'm not going to perform any aggregation on order ID except counting. So I'm going to change this from number to, I want it to be text. I want any ID to be text. Any ID here to be text. Right, so let's just text. Then the customer age is number, leave it that way. The gender is, then we have the product ID, the subcategory, product quantity. So I'm okay with all this, including locations, everything. We have the correct data type. So first, let's look at column profiling. Column profiling shows you the statistics of your data. It shows you the quality of your data. Let's go to check that box, or to bring up that column profiling box. Come to your view tab. Then here in your view tab, just click on, we have column profile, we have the column quality. For this column quality, it tells you the quality of your data, of every data in each of the column. If you have 100% valid, or you have some errors in that column, or you have empty cells. So if you have, the quick way to know if you have issues in any of your column is using this column quality. It tells you if you have errors in your data, or if you have empty cells. Currently, you can see here showing 100% valid, 0% error, 0% empty. So we are good. But make sure that once you are doing it, you are not profiling based on the top 1,000 rows, but also based on the entire data set. Sometimes when it's profile the top 1,000 row, you may not really see, you may not have errors in that top 1,000 row. But when you profile based on the entire data set, if you have errors in that data, it will tell you. So how do you know if you have errors? It will definitely show you. to show you that, okay, there's error there. This is the number of errors we have. This is the number of empty cells that we have, and like that, like that. So wait for it to, because I'm profiling based on the entire data set, it will take a while before it pops up. So let's wait a bit. So you can see this is still showing 100% valid, no error. So we are good. We don't have any problem. Still learning for the rest. So for the column profile, this gives you a statistics of the data in your column. If you are clicking a column that contains numerical value, it will give you a statistics of it. Now for this one, this let's look for um let's look at one that contains, let's look at column order quantity. So for order quantity, it's telling us that the number of orders that we have here is this amount, 59,195. So it's still waiting for the rest. It's telling us that we don't have any error in that column. The column is not empty. There's no empty cell. Then distinct values is 30. By distinct, those ones are not duplicate. Not that they're not duplicate. Just if one appear 2 times or 3 times, it will still see it as just one. So we have 30 distinct value, no unique. We don't have 0. Then minimum value is 1. The minimum order quantity is 1. The maximum quantity is 30. Then the average of everything in this order quantity is 11.5716 dot 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 dot. You can see when you go around, you get to see the remaining ones. Then this is standard deviation. This is the even number that we have there. This is the number of odd numbers that we have here. It gives you the statistics of your data in each of the column. This is for numerical column. So if I'm saying now that what is the average order quantity? The average order quantity is 11.57 approximately. What is the standard deviation? It is 9.65 approximately. How many even numbers do we have? How many odd numbers do we have? You can see this. That's listed it out for you without you having to do calculations of yourself. It will help you, generate the value. That is for column that contains numerical value. What about column that contains text? Let's look at the subcategory. For subcategory, so it's telling the number of values in that column, which is this amount, the same as the one for order quantity, 59,195. We don't have error, we don't have empty. There are 17 distinct values there. So if mountain bikes appear twice, it is still only recorded as one. So 17 distinct. We don't have any unique. By unique, these are, when I say unique values that they are just alone. They didn't appear twice or 3 times. They only appeared once. That's what I call it unique. So this is why it only returns 17 distinct. It means those, even if they are distinct, in that column they appeared more than once. But it still counted them as just one to form that 17. Then empty string, we don't have any empty string. The minimum is bikes, the maximum is vest. So this minimum maximum has to do with the order setting from ascending to descending. So the one that is, you can see B is, AB, then letter V, it's still towards the end. So the minimum is going to be the first letter that comes first. The maximum is going to be the letter that comes after that. So that's that on the column profile. So also for the distribution, you get to see, looking at this bar chart here, you can know which one is the highest. So you can see here, if I hover around this, it's telling you that the tire and tubes takes over 28% of the whole thing in that column. And if you scroll down, you get to see the list that, bike stand. You can see bike stand takes just less than 1% of that, of all the values in the subcategory column. So it just tell you more about your data and how it's useful. All right, so the next thing we are going to look at after this column profiling is how you can merge columns together. We look at how we can split columns, we look at how we merge columns. But before moving to how we can merge columns together, I want to show us something. So I'll just quickly create, so let me just uncheck this, the column quality and the column profile, and I'll go back. I want to quickly add data and show us something. So I'm going to add 3 names of students, and also I'll give course. So let me just give this Clique 1. I want to show us something. We have advanced splitting. So Clique 1, I'll give it name. Then I'll give this course. So I'm going to start my name first. I'll type in Blessing. I'm saying, okay, Blessing she's taking both the Excel course, Excel Excel, SQL, and Power BI. Martha is taking she's taking Excel, comma, Tableau, and she's taking SQL. Then we have Paul. Yeah, Paul is taking probably Python, R. Let me just give and SQL. Then let me just add Priscilla as the last person. Hey, this name, did I spell it well? Priscilla. Okay. She's taking Excel, Tableau. I just want to show us how we can split this advanced way of splitting Tableau, and let me just do this too. Okay, so I'm okay with this, and I'm going to hit okay. So you can add this data in. All right. So what if I want to split this instead of splitting into? If I want to split into columns, there's a way. I already showed you how to split in the last class. That was yesterday. Just come here to split column. So what is the delimiter here? The delimiter is what in this cost column. If I want to split them into, we have I want to split them into the number of based on the delimiter. How do I split? Can someone put me through on how to split? Priscilla, are you there? Oh, who is talking? Who is saying something?
Hello.
Hello, I can hear you.
Okay, so to split it, we go to split column.
Okay, split
After
column.
selecting our columns, yes.
Okay.
Then by
What's
delimiter,
by delimiter? Oh, sorry. I picked. Hold on. Okay, so by delimiter. So automatically it has checked the delimiters out at each occurrence, and I'm going to hit OK, right? Then it's split into these 3 columns. So what if I don't want to split into column? I want to split it into rows. To do that, I'm just going to go back. I want to split into rows, not into column. Okay, so I want to split into columns and not, into rows and not into columns. To do this, I'm going to come here. I would come back here to this. Let me just cancel this step. Then I'll come back here to this settings button. It brings back the split to column dialog box, and it's saying, okay, I don't want it to split, comma. So I'm going to come here and click on this advanced option. I don't want it to split into columns. I want to split into row to all be in a single row. So I'll click on rows. The moment I click on rows, you can see you don't have the options you have when you clicked on columns, telling you that it will split into 3 columns. I'll click on rows. It will split them back into that single row. Let me hit OK now, and you see that everything forms. So you can see I'm having blessing. I'm having matter. All the course she's taking, Paul, all the course she's taking, Priscilla, all the course she's taking. So this is how you split your data into row and not into column. That is for splitting. So let's go back. I want to show us how to merge. Merging columns has to do with you combining 2 columns together. Let me bring in that data that we use. I would have shown us. Yeah, I can show us. I'll just show us here without doing that. I'll show us here. So let's assume I want to merge this customer age and customer gender column together. For example, if you have a column that contains first name separate, second name separate, first and last name in different columns, and you want to combine them together to form a full name, here in Power Query, to do this, I would assume these 2 columns here, my first and last name, but here is just customer age and customer gender. To merge them together, select this column, the customer age, press down your shift button, select the other column you want to merge with it, right click, and you see the option for merge columns. Click on merge columns. Then you have this merge column dialog box that appears and is saying, do you want any separator to be in your data? I don't want any separator. So what is going to be the new column name? I'll give this customer age / gender. Then I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to mesh those 2 columns together. Can you see that it has made it? So if I want to add a delimiter to it, maybe I want to just make it to separate it, I'll come back here and I would select comma or any of the delimiter I want to add, then hit OK. It will add a delimiter in front of those, in between those data. So you can see the age and the gender. So combining data together would help you. So it means if you want to combine two names together, first name and last name, your delimiter in this case is going to be, you can see space here. So you have to put space in between the data. This is it here. Hit space and hit OK. You would have your space. There'll be space in between the data. This is how you merge columns together. So you can try that data I sent to you for assignment. Try to load it into Power Query and merge them using this function, the merging feature, to merge the prefix, the first name, and the last name together to form a full name. Just try it out. So this is how you merge columns, but I don't want to merge. I just showed you how to. So what if the two columns you want to merge, let me shift this away from where it is now. Let me shift it here. What if the two columns you want to merge they are far from, hold on. Let me bring this back here. So I want to merge this customer age here. I want to merge it to the customer gender. If the two tables you want to merge are far, they are far from each other, they are miles apart from each other. How do you merge them together? All you have to do is select the first column you want to work with. Press down your control button, then come here and select the gender. It will select both for you. Then you can right click and you merge columns. If you use your shift button, it will highlight every column from where you selected to this place. That's if you use shift button. But if you want to get those two columns separately, since they are miles apart, press down your control button after selecting the first column, then go and select the other column you want to merge with it, and you get your result. So that's that for merging of columns. The next one we'll be looking at is how you can add custom columns and index column. Then we'll look at how to add conditional column and column from example. So let's see this. Let's start with custom columns. I'm going to check if I want to find, let's see. Let's say I want to create another column. This particular revenue is not correct because to get revenue is going to be the order quantity multiplied by unit price. But this one is not correct. But we'll create a new one. I would show us. So we're going to create a new one. If I want to create a revenue column, to get revenue column is going to be order quantity multiplied by unit price. What are custom columns? Custom columns are columns you create based on your existing data. Columns you create or you add into your data based on the existing data that you have. Just the way we did calculated field in pivot table, how that you added a new field which is for commission or for revenue per unit to that pivot table using that formula to do it. The same thing here. So to add a custom column, you can see here in your add column, tab, you would see we have different options. And you can see custom column here. Custom column is beside column from example. I'll click on custom column. Then this custom column dialog box appears and it's saying, okay, what is the custom column you want to create? The custom column I want to create is the revenue. So I'll just give it revenue 2. I'll give it revenue 2 because I already have one revenue there. So what is the formula? I want to multiply the order quantity by the unit price. So to do this, I'm just going to come here, order quantity. Is that you double click like this, or order quantity shift 8 4 times multiply by unit price, or come and select unit price and hit insert. Then you insert it. So you can see if you have error, it will show you that you have error. But now that this is showing green, that okay, no syntax error have been detected, so you're good to go. And I'm going to hit OK. The moment I hit OK, you can see we have a new column here generated with the name revenue 2, multiplying the order quantity by the unit price to get that result. So I'll just change the data type from revenue to, I'll change it from revenue to, sorry, not revenue. I'll change it from this ABC123 to whole number. Good. What if I want to get cost? Is still the same pattern. Multiply your order quantity by your order quantity by your unit cost. So let's do that together. Then I'm going to come here to custom column, and I'll give it cost 2. It is going to be the order quantity, sheet 8 to multiply by the unit cost. And I'm going to hit OK. It will create a column. These are custom column. You are creating them based on the existing data that you have. Then I would change the data type from ABC123 to whole number. So I want to get profit based on these 2 column I just created. How do I get profit? Can someone help me with that? I need help. How can someone help me? Who is helping me on that? Anybody? Before I call names. Okay, Emeka wants to help me. All right, John, can you help me with that? How do I create a new column for profit? And what is going to be the formula to get profit? So you can unmute yourself and say something.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
The formula would be revenue minus cost. That's revenue 2 minus cost 2.
Okay, so I'll just go back, still in my add column. I'll go to custom column. Then I'll change this. I'll give this profit, right? Profit, and I'll come here to select the revenue minus, just put in your minus, revenue minus the cost. So you can see no syntax error found out. I'll hit OK to get my profit. So I have the profit here. I'll change the data type from ABC123 to whole number. That's profit. This is how you create calculated custom column in your data. Then what is the last thing I'm going to get here? Yeah, I think I'm good with that's how you just create calculated. I call it calculated feed again, custom column in your data in Power Query. And the next thing I want to show us is how you can create conditional column. Conditional column are columns you create based on a given condition or criteria. So what if, looking at this order quantity, I'm saying that this order quantity, I want to categorize every of the quantity that is above 1. Categorize them under, let's give it, okay, above 1, let's give it multiple item, then 1 will give it single item. To add a conditional column that would categorize this order quantity into single item or multiple item, I'll just come here, then still in that add column tab, in the general group, you'd see the command conditional column. Click on conditional column option, then this dialog box for add conditional column pops up, and it's saying, okay, you want to add a conditional column. What is the name? I would give it, just give it quantity type. I'll give it the quantity type. So the next thing is, okay, what do you want to do? What column do you want to work with? I want to work with the order quantity. So I'll select order quantity. Then the next thing is, what is the operator? Operator here could be anything. It could be equal to, does not equal, is greater than or equal to, is less than or equal to, anything. So I'm just going to use, we'll leave it at equal to. So equal to, now you're seeing ABC123. This ABC123 implies that the column, whatever you want to type in there, might be number or might be a text. So what I'm typing here is, if the order quantity is equal to 1, I'm typing 1. So what should be the output? The same thing here, you're seeing ABC123. It implies that your output can either be number or your output can either be text. And also, is that you want to enter a value? You can see here it's ABC123. It means you want to enter a value. If you are not entering a value, you want to select a column, you can select column. But we are working with this enter value. So I would leave it at enter value. So what should be my result? Let it be single item. So I'm saying for every other quantity that is equal to 1, categorize them under single item. It's more or less as if you are doing if logical function. If this is this, if the value is true, give it this. The way we did if, remember how we did if? That's just the way it is here. But this one, you're just clicking and dragging. You're just typing in the value with ease. Then otherwise, categorize them under categorize them. Is that you add a new clause or you just else give it multiple item. So anyone multiple item. So anyone that doesn't meet the criteria, the first one, that if the order quantity is equal to 1, give it single item. The rest will be categorized under multiple item. So I'll leave it at multiple item and I'm going to hit OK. So let's see. You can see here that we have the quantity type created. So I'll click on the drop down button and change this to text. So if I'm going to, so waiting for it to, yeah, we have a new column. This is a conditional column, a column we created based on a given condition or criteria, quantity type. So we have the quantity type here, and this is the quantity. We have it here. If I want to take this, okay, I'll show us when we add index column, how to move our columns. I'll show us how to, of course you can do it by dragging, but if where you're taking it to is towards the beginning, there's a way you can just quickly do that. So that's for conditional column. For index column, let's say I want to add an index column. Now most time what index column is useful for is if you want to be able to sort your data, or if your column, there's a rule that every table must have a unique identifier. So if you find out that your table doesn't have a unique identifier for every record in that table, then you can use an index column as the unique identifier for it. But here we have unique identifier for every of the records here, which is the order ID. But what if I want to be able to see the last data? If I want to be able to sort and see the last data on this table, with the help of my index column, I can do that. And how? To add an index column, still in the add column tab, you would see index column feature here. Click on the drop down button and we have two options. We have three options. We have, do you want to start from 0 or from 1, or you want to customize how you want it to look? So I'm going to start from 1. If you start from 0, it will start from 0. So you can see the index column here, 1, 2, like this. You can see it here. If I want to drag this index column and put it to be at the beginning, to be the first column here, some people do it by dragging. They start dragging, press down your left mouse and start dragging. This, what if you have column that contain, a table that contains like 20 columns? We really drag from beginning down to the end. It's going to take a while. So for me to drag this column, to take this index column from where it is here, which at the end, to the very beginning, all I have to do is to select the column, then right click, and you go down, you see the option move. Then we have other options. When you hover around move, you can see left, right, to the beginning, to the end. Since I'm currently at the end and I want to move this column to the beginning, I'll click on to beginning. Then you won't find this column here again. You see it here at the beginning. It's now before the order ID. This is how you move your columns. If I want to, now you notice something. All the steps you've been applying since morning, you are seeing them here on the applied steps. Everything. So every step you apply on your data or any transformation will be recorded here on the applied steps pane. You are seeing them here. I remember I said, once you cancel a step, forget about it. They don't like undo. It has been done. It has been done, and that's the end of it. You can't undo. So you have to be sure before you delete any step. So let's say if I want to delete a column from this table, let's say I want to delete, I'm going to bring it back up, but let's say I want to delete, let's say I want to delete this, let me see, I want to delete these two columns, the cost and revenue, right? I want to delete them. I'll still bring them back in, but I'm showing us how to delete. To remove columns from your table, select the columns you want to. If it's only a single column, just right click and you see remove column. Or you can also find the command here in your home tab. You would see remove columns here. Click on drop down button, you see remove columns, or you want to remove other columns, anyone you want to do. I think you can also find it here in the, is it in the transform tab? No, it's not in transform tab. You can only find it here in the home tab. For removing columns, either you come here or you right click and you find remove columns. I think I just removed that now. I just removed that. And that place you can see some options here. You can see we have some options here too. If you want to copy entire table, use first row as headers, add custom column from example, invoke custom functions, add conditional column. We have different options here too that you can work with. When we get to this, we've done for custom columns and conditional column, and we added index column to our data. And we also we've removed rows from our data too. So let's just continue. If I want to remove this revenue too, right click and you see remove columns, or come here and remove column. So to remove it, you can see those two columns are no longer here. I want to undo this step. I would cancel this step, and it will bring back those two columns. You can see that step I've cancelled cannot be recovered. Once you cancel, that is it. So the next thing I want to show us now is how to replace the way we use the Control F and Control H to replace and find in the normal Microsoft Excel. There's a feature here that you can use to replace values. So let's say I want to replace this customer gender. I want to replace F with female and M with male. So let me see if I have anybody that has raised. Okay, so we are still good. Nobody has raised hands. Okay, if I want to change this customer gender from F to female, M to male, to do that, select the column you want to work with. Then go to your transform tab. In your any columns group, you see the function or the feature replace values. Click on the drop down button. You have two options there. We have replace values and replace errors. If you have error in your data and you want to replace them, you hit this function. And what it does is that this replace errors, when you hover around it, you get to tell you what it does. So let's hover around and you see said replace all errors in the currently selected columns with the specified value. So if you want to replace all your error with something else, if you have error in there, you want to replace with something else, you can just do that. But I'm really looking at replace values. I want to replace F with female and M with male. I'll select replace values. The moment I select replace values, what happens is so we have this replace values dialog box that says, okay, what is the value you want to find? And also, what do you want to replace it with? The value I want to find is, now you need to be very smart about this. If you choose, now let's see, I'm going to start with male. I would say replace M with male. Then I'll hit OK. Every M in that column will replace with male. If I want to replace the F, going back, the same thing, replace F with female. I'll type in. So one thing you should note again is case sensitive. If the M here is in small letter, type it exactly in small letter. If you type M in capital letter, you will not find it. So it is what exactly is in that column that you must type in. So female, capital letter, F, then replace it with female. And I'm going to hit OK. So we have this. What if, while doing it, you chose to go for female first before male? Now let's see what happens. I'm going to cancel these two replace steps that I just applied. Let's say now I went for female first. Let's see. I'll go to It might only disturb you if your M and F are in small letter. They're in small letter. That's the only time it can disturb you. So it might not disturb you now that you have, or let's see. If I type in, let's see, if I type in replace value and I say replace all the males here, M with males, I'll type in the males in capital letter. So you see what I'm trying to male. And I'll hit OK. And I say okay, then now replace all female. Hold on, let me start with female first. So you see, I'm trying to see there's a way that sometimes when you start with female first, it gives you issue. So start F with female. Then I'm going to hit OK. So if I want to replace all male now with all M with male, and I come here, then I select replace values. Then I type in M, and I say replace all the male, M there with male. Then I hit enter. You would notice that the weird name, this female has changed to something else. You're not seeing female, then ALE at the back of it. How do you fix this problem? You can decide to cancel both steps, then start with the male first, then you go to female. But if you want to quickly solve this, you might have to replace again. And how do you do that? You can see the moment I selected the female ALE here, you can see it here. We have a space here that is showing the name. So I'm going to highlight and copy this. Highlight this, then Ctrl C to copy. Now go back, select the column I want to work with. Then go and replace it again. Replace what? So you can see what do you want to find. I want to find this. Control V to paste it. Replace it now with female, the correct one. And I'm going to hit OK. And it replace all that value there with the correct one. But to make everything very easy, just start with the male first, and you can go with female after that. This is how you find and replace data in any column you want to work with. Okay, so the next thing we are going to look, I've shown you how to add custom columns, conditional columns, how you can replace and find, and also how to create conditional columns. So let's look at how to work with let's look at column from example. Now, what is column from example is, if you remember how we did flash fill, how that when you wanted to split two columns together into two, split a column into two, all you had to do was to type in the first example for Excel to look at, the pattern to follow, and the moment you notice the pattern, it helps you fill down the rest. So you can see, use examples to create a new column. Let me hover around again so you see what is this for. Use example to create a new column in this table. That's Control plus E. Remember flash fill, Control plus E. So I'm going to click, I'll work with this click data. This click data. Then I'm going to remove the splitting that I did with it. So I have this. So if I'm going to split this cost now, using column from example, I want to split into 3 columns. I'm going to select the column I want to split. This cost, I want to split into 3. Then once I'm done, I'll come here to, still in the add column tab, you would see column from example. I'll click on the drop down button. Then we have 2 options, from all columns, then from selection. I'll go with from selection because I only wanted to work with this column I want to work on. So I'll select from selection. The main type is from selection. You have 1 column beside it here telling you, okay, what is the pattern you want to follow? So I'll type in Excel. I'll hit enter. So the moment I type in Excel and hit enter, can you see the rest in very faint color? Excel, Python, Excel. It followed the pattern. All I had to do was to type in the first example, then hit enter, and it looked at the pattern in that column, the cost column, and try to follow it. So the moment it brings out the rest in faint color, is now you press Control plus Enter to apply it, or you hit OK here. So I'm going to rename it first. I'll rename it from this. I'll give it first cost. Then I'll press Control Enter on my system. It would Control Enter to apply. So then Control Enter. That would apply it. So you can see it has applied it. Now to split again, the second one, come back here from selection. Then I'll give this second. I'm not showing us how we can column from example. Second cost, how you can use that feature. Second cost. I'll hit enter. Then what's the next pattern? SQL. Enter. The moment I type in enter after typing in the first one, you can see the rest. You can see after SQL here, the next one is formatter is Tableau. The next course formatter is Tableau. The next course for Paul is R. The next course for Priscilla is Tableau. So you can see that. Then once I'm done, is either you press Control plus Enter to enter it, or you hit OK. So I'll select OK, and it will add it in. So can you see that? So let's look at the third course, the same thing, going back. By splitting it, splitting is going to do the job at once. You are done splitting. I'm just showing you how you can use the cost column from example to fix that. So I'm coming here now, and I'm going to change this. I'll give this let me just give this third course. Then I'll come here and I'll type in the next one, Power BI. Hit enter. You can see the rest in faint color. I'll just hit OK, and it brings it out. So this is how you use column from example. From the word column from example, it means generating column based on the example you specified for Power Query to follow, and it will generate columns for you. Do we have anybody? All this I've been saying so far. Any question? Do you understand? Or you are lost? You want me to find you? Any question? Or we all understood everything so far? Anybody? Any question? No question. Or are we still with me?
Good.
Okay. Yes,
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yes,
I can hear you. Okay, sorry. Once Yetunde is done, Mata can follow.
Okay.
Then,
so I'm
all right.
experiencing a bit of network challenge, but
Okay.
I got lost somewhere.
Okay.
I'll take you really back. There was
Okay.
a section where you said the custom column is used to create a new column using existing fields
Yes.
in that particular document. What
Okay.
if I have a second document? I want to
Okay.
pull out a few
You want to pull
sales
out?
on the current, maybe I have sales
Okay.
like a selling price
Okay.
on a particular sheet where I'm
Okay. So you want to
that
you
document.
want to draw out the, maybe let's assume revenue,
Yes,
let's assume unit
yes.
cost is on one table, then the other
I want
quantity
to
is on
draw
another table.
a column. Come again.
So are you trying to say, let's assume that
Hello?
unit costs, I'm here with you. Let's assume that unit
Hello?
costs, oh God, can she hear me now? Her network. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me,
Hello?
Mata? Your network
Yes, did
is,
you get my question?
yes, I get your question. So I'm trying to
Oh Lord.
explain better so you can understand. Are you trying to say if you have a table that contains, let's for example, a table contains the order quantity, and another table contains the revenue, sorry, the unit price, and you want to multiply the two of them, but they're on different tables. How do you do that? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, that's my question.
Okay. So in a situation like that, if
Yes.
it's not something you can merge to the column, this is where using of DAX comes in. With the use of DAX, which is going to be in Power Pivot, you can draw out two columns or perform aggregation on two columns together using DAX. We'll be looking at that in Power Pivot. But I'll show you how you can merge columns very soon here in this Power Query. So without merging, you can do that. But if it's not possible to merge those columns together, then we'll use DAX to solve the problem in Power Query. When we get to Power Pivot, we'll solve that problem. Do you get that? But we'll show you how to merge
Okay,
in
no
this
problem. Thank
teaching. Don't
you.
worry. All right. So Martha, sorry, Yetunde, you want to say something?
Yes, wait on
Okay,
ma.
ma'am.
Yeah, what I want
Thank
to, I
you.
wanted to ask that for that merge column, if I'm to
Yes.
merge maybe age and gender together, it
Okay.
means that the two columns I merge together will not be on that sheet again. It means we only
No.
have one.
Yes, they'll be
Yeah,
combined into one. You will not have them.
yeah.
You will not have them separate. You still have them all combined together.
That means, for example, if we have like three columns and I
Yes.
merge two columns together, that means we'll be having two columns left.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any other person? Any question? So I think I can move on. All right. So the next thing we'll look at, I've just shown you how to do column from example. The next thing we'll look at is how to use the group by feature. Then from there, we'll look at how to merge queries and how to append queries. And yes, how to unpivot and pivot. So let's look at the group by feature. What this feature is used for, the group by feature is a kind of feature whereby you group aggregations based on a column or more than one column. What do I mean? Let's go back to this thing. Let's say I want to group the revenue based on the product category. Now, one thing you should know about group by feature. So I'm going to duplicate I'll duplicate this table. Right click, then duplicate it. So I'll use one of them and not this one. So for group by feature, like I was saying, it's you grouping aggregation, a columns that you've aggregated based on one column or more than one column. So I'll close this. So I said I want to group the revenue by product category. So what I'm going to do to get this group by feature, just come still in your add. No, it's not going to be in your add column now. You see you can find the group by feature in your group by your transform tab in the tables group. You see the group by feature here. Click on group by feature. The moment I click on group by feature, then we have this group by dialog box that appears and it's saying, okay, what do you want to do? We have two options. We have basic and advanced. For these basics, if you want to you want to group based on just a single column, and you want to group an aggregation based on a single column. For the advanced, if you have more than two columns you want to work with, or more than two aggregation you want to work on. So I'll go with the basic first. For the basics, I'm saying, what column do you want to work with? I want to group based on product category. So I'll select product category. Then the next one is, what is the new column name? I'm going to give you total revenue because I want to see the total revenue for every of the product category. So I'll give you total revenue. And the next one is, what operation do you want to perform on it? Do you want to count it, or you want to sum, or find the average, the median, the mean, the max, or anything you want to do? What I want to do is to sum. We want to sum all the revenue for every of the product category. So I'll hit sum. And the next column here is, it's saying that what column do you want to sum? I want to sum the revenue column. I'll select revenue. Now you can see this here. Then I'll hit OK. So the minute I hit OK, you see all this data here, there is over how many columns? It will just bring, you just find out that they turn to 2. And let's see what happens. Waiting for it to load. So you can see the whole column here, over how many? 22 columns have been grouped all together. You can see them, everything here. It's just 2 columns that is left. So for when you're using the group by feature, you must be sure that that column, you don't need the remaining columns. You only need those 2. Because the moment you group it, it goes. Those other columns, they leave. And you only have the one you want to see. So you can see here, I'm seeing that, oh, for the bikes, this is the amount. For accessories, this is the amount. For clothing. So it's grouped the revenue based on the product category. Now that's for the basic. What if I have more than 2 columns that I want to group based on? I'll go back here to this, click on that settings button beside it, and it brings back this group by feature. So let's see. Before I look at this, let's go back and see if there's something else we want to group it based on. Let's see. We have, okay, let's use male and female, and also let's use, I'll do for total cost too, then total revenue. So we have 2 for both. So let's go back here. So come here to this group rows, click on the drop down. So not drop down, the settings button, and I'm going to change from basic to advanced. So it means you can group based on more than 1 columns. So if you have product category, I can say, okay, I also want to group based on the gender. So I'd come here and select where is the gender now? Customer gender. So product category and customer gender. Then you can also add for the aggregation. You can add more than 1 columns that you want to aggregate. So I also want to do for total cost. So I'll type in total cost. Then what is the operation you want to perform? I'll still say I want sum. So if you want average, you can put average. So let's use average here. Then we have, what is the column you want to find the average of? That's for cost. So I'll select cost 2, and I'm going to hit OK. So let's see what happens. Waiting for it to load. So you can see it grouped this. We have the bikes, we have the customer gender, then we have the total revenue, then we have, oh, I should have given this not total cost, I should have given it average cost. So let's see. I'll give this, change from total cost to average cost, AVG cost. So you can see this. So it's telling you that, waiting for it to change. So since I'm grouping based on two columns, and I'm getting based on 2 columns as well, let's wait for it. So you can see here. So it's telling you for the bike, for the product category for bike. For bikes, we have both male and female. So you get to see for the male, this is the total revenue generated for male, and this is the average cost. For the female, still under bikes, this is total revenue, and this is the average cost. Then for accessories, for male, this is total revenue, then the average cost. For accessories for female, this is the total revenue, then the average cost. For the clothing, for female, this is the total revenue and average cost. Same thing for the male. So you can group your data based on 2 columns, more than 1 columns, and also perform more than 1 aggregation. It can be more than, you can have 3, you can have 4, as many as you want. So this is how you group by, you use the group by feature on your data. The next thing we'll look at is, okay, so the next thing we'll look at is how to merge queries and append queries together. Before we look at that, let's look at how to unpivot and pivot first. So I'm going to bring in data here. Go to my home tab. I don't know if I sent this to us. Let me see. It's an Excel file. So do I have it pivot on pivot? Yeah, pivot on pivot. Now hit import. Okay. So waiting for it to bring it in. So what is pivoting and unpivoting? Check this and check this. So I'll send us an assignment to work on. It's going to, I know, would ask questions. There'll be a lot of questions on it. Only for those that have encountered that kind of, or work with on that kind of data that would not have problem. But so we have this. When we look at pivoting and unpivoting, I'm going to name this to pivoting and unpivoting before we look at merging and appended. Unpivot and pivot. So how many of us have heard about pivot and unpivot before? Anybody? Have anybody heard of pivot and unpivot before? Before now? Anybody? So if you've heard of what pivoting and unpivoting is, can just share with us what you understand by pivoting and unpivoting before we look at it together. Anybody? Paul, do you have an idea of what pivoting and unpivoting is all about? Anybody? So yeah, okay, so Victoria has an idea. So Victoria, share with us, what do you understand by pivoting and unpivoting?
All right, thank you, Ma. Like what I let me just say what I think I know about pivoting and unpivoting. Pivoting and unpivoting is just like converting rows to column and column to rows, something like that.
Converting your data from rows to column and columns
Rows
to
to,
row.
yeah, columns to row
Okay,
bar.
all right. Okay, so we have she's very correct actually. So we have a table here. You can see dates, we have product category, we have the region, we have the quantity sold. So if I want to make, let's say I want to group this quantity sold, I want to have them in region. Let's see, let me go back to my transform tab. So I have this. So you can find these pivot and unpivot columns. You can find them in your transform tab. You'd see them here. So I'm going to hover around. So you can see this. It says for pivot, use names in the currently selected columns to create new columns. Tables with nested columns are not supported. Then for unpivot columns, it says translate all but the current unselected columns into attribute value pairs. So let's see if I'm going to unpivot all this. So let's so I'm coming. So let's start with okay, let me look at unpivot. Yeah, let's look at pivot columns. I'm going to use this. I'm going to hold on. I'm trying to see. Yeah. So let me go back. I want to split this quantity sold. I want to be able to see it categorized in these regions here. For North region, the Central region, the South region. For it, I want to see how much was made. Of course, I can see it here. The North region, this is the amount. Then Central region, this is it. But I want to have all these values here, these attributes here for region. I want to have them as headers of different columns containing the quantity sold as values under it. To do that, I'll select this region I want to work with. Then, according to what Victoria explained, how that for pivoting and unpivoting has to do with you changing your data, the way it is, one from rows to columns, and also another one from columns to row. Selecting this region column, you can see the pivot column, which says it uses names in a currently selected column to create new columns. So I want to create new columns based on these values here in this single column, which is like having is on a row. Selecting this, go to my pivot column. Then once this pivot column dialog box appears, it's asking you what is going to be the values column. That is, we know now you want to make these values in this place here. You want to make them column headers. What do you want to be in each of the column? I want to have my quantity sold in each of the columns. Since I'm going to be making this here, my column headers. So I'll click on the drop down button and select quantity sold. Then I'll hit OK. So something is going to happen, and you can see here we have North region, Central region, South region. So in each of these region, I get to see the values. I get to see, oh, in the North region, for bikes, this is the amount that was sold, the quantity of goods or bike that was sold. In the Central region, for bikes, this is the quantity that was sold. In the South region, this is the quantity that was sold. Same thing for component, same thing for clothing. With the pivoting feature, I was able to split that column to get this. So how then do I go back to the original form? How then do I go back to the way it was? To do this, I'm just going to, since I have these three columns are the one I want to unpivot. So we call it unpivoting. Pivoting what I just did now. Unpivoting is just going back to the original form, the way it was, taking all these that are on a single row, bring them to be in a single column. So I'm going to select these columns I want to work with. These three. Then you can see the moment I selected them, this pivot column became inactive. And that's because you cannot, it only works with, if you want to use it, you have to select one column to work with it. It's when you want to work with like 3 columns that you use this feature. So I'm going to come here and click on pivot columns. So when I click on pivot columns, you can see here that we have the way it was before. So I can now change this from attributes to region, then from values to quantity sold. Now, this pivot and unpivot is a rule under data normalization. What is data normalization? It has to do with you arranging your data in such a way that it is well organized and efficient to be used. It's more or less like you trying to arrange your data into tables and also creating connections between them. And we have 2 rules for data normalization. The first one is that every values or attributes must have its own column. That is the first rule. Every values or attribute must have its own column. So all this you are seeing under region, they are attributes. Everything you are seeing here, they are values. So if you open your data and you find out that what should be in the attribute that should be in a single column are made column headers, and values, they're just splitted anyhow. You can use any of the feature, the unpivoting and pivoting. We used unpivoting for this. So you can just unpivot it to get your values in their own columns and your rows, your attributes in their own column. Now let me look at something. I'll show us something now. It's going to be our assignment, but I'll show us something so you can understand better. Let me bring in a data. You do it yourself because it's an assignment. I'll bring in a data so you see what I'm trying to explain. Where is this data now? I'm trying to see. Okay. Okay, this particular one, I will import it now so you get to see. So I'll check this box and I'll hit OK. So this data is in the preview has been truncated due to size limit. So the data is much, but I'll just bring it in. So, but it will still show the data in full. All right. I'll quickly, or this is supposed to be an assignment, but I'll just do it now. I'll just remove. So, who is there? Who's there? Who can help us? What should we do? Looking at this data. Okay, so Anna, are you there? Anna, are you there? Can you see my screen too? Hello, Anna, are you there? Okay. Oh, he's going to help us. Yeah, Okoyemi Usman, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay, Anna, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay, your voice is very, very low. Very, very low. Yes, I can hear you. Okay, so you know what? Can you mute yourself? The background noise is entering the video. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Sorry about that. All right, Okoyemi, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
ma, I can hear you. I'm here.
Okay. So, all right. Thank you. Okoyemi, what should you do? We did power query together yesterday. I want to, you can see, you see we have some values here, right? And it's not looking well. So
Yeah.
how do I remove this rows, this number of rows and I don't need? If I scroll like this
Okay.
now. Yeah. So how do I remove that?
Okay. You go to remove rows, then you specify the top
So how
row,
many number
then
of rows am I
you
removing? How many number of rows am I removing?
top 9.
Top 9. So I'll type in 9 and I'll hit OK. So it removes the row for me. And what's the next thing I'm going to do after this? I'm going to, you can see we have on the first row, we have the column headers. So how do I fix that?
Okay, we make them we make
Headers, right?
yes,
So
use
make
first
first row
row as
header. So
headers.
I only want to show us this. I will not do it. This is your assignment. I'm not supposed to do this. This is supposed to be our assignment. But I would. So you can you see here? Seeing 160 columns, then 199 plus rows. That's a lot of columns. And you'll notice something. You'd see here from 1, 2, 3, 4. From the fifth column, you notice something. The column headers are attribute of dates. You are seeing the date 01/06/2017 0000, the time. You are seeing it. So in this case, the dates were made column headers, which should not be so. According to the first rule of data normalization, is that every unique or every values or attribute must have its own column. This date here is an attribute of date. So to fix this, to make all these that are column headers, to bring them into a single column, this is where the unpivoting comes in. You unpivot it. So I'm not expecting you when you are doing your own, you now start selecting. You select from here down to, because we have 160 columns, sir and ma. You have to select till you get to the 160th column and to take your time. I'm not going to show you how to do it. When you click on the down button beside on pivot column, you should see other options. That should help you fix that. So that's that. I'm just showing you how, trying to explain the importance of using the on pivot columns and when to use it. Thank you. This is your assignment. I'll send it to us later, but I'm not doing it. So to delete this query, right click on it, now hit delete to delete it. Yes, I want to delete it. Okay, so that's for unpivoting and pivoting. Do you have any question if I move to merging queries and appending queries? Any question? Any question here? Anybody? Okay, so we are good to go. We are good. All right. So the next thing, if you have questions, please let me know so that I can go back and explain well or answer your questions. So I think we are all good. Then the next thing we want to look at is how you can merge queries and how you can append queries. And if time permits us, to look at data modeling in today's class. So what is merging queries? Merging queries is you joining tables together horizontally. You want to bring in table and merge them together, not stacking now on top of each other, but bringing them and joining them together. So I'll bring in a data set. So I'll come here, I sent it to us too. So file, Excel workbook, and it's merging. So where's this data? Merging. So we have this, it's merging. So I'll import this data in. Okay, so I'm working with these two data, department and employee details. Then I'm going to hit OK. All right, so we have these two data, department details and employee detail. So if I click on this employee data, I get to see employee, a table containing employee ID, employee name, department ID, salary, and the joining date. If I click on the second table, I'm seeing the department name, the location, department ID, I mean, and we have the location here. If I click on the employee ID, if I'm saying, okay, what department, looking at this place here, this is John Doe. What department is John Doe in? I'm only seeing the ID of his department. If I want to look for John Doe, join those departments to know the name and the location, I would have to use the ID here, 101, and go back to department details to look for, okay, 101 is what? I say, oh, 101 is sales department and it's located in New York. What if I have millions of data? Is that how I'll start using my eye to look for? Okay, my green is in 102. I'll go back to details department, the details table, and start looking for what is 102. 102 is marketing and is in Los Angeles. So what if I want to merge these two tables together such that once I click on employee details, I'm not only seeing the department ID, I'm also seeing the name of the department and where it is located. To merge them together, we use the merging queries feature. And how do I do this? So one thing you should know when it comes to merging, there has to be a column unique to both columns. Remember how we did VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP and SLOOKUP? Before we could look up for value from a table into the lookup table, there was a value called lookup value that was unique to both the main table and the lookup table. So there has to be something, a column unique, a value unique to both before you can merge them together. And what is that unique value? Looking at these employee details. Now look at employee details together. Everybody look at it now. Employee details. We have employee ID, employee name, department ID, salary and joining dates. And here in department details, we have department ID, department name, and location. So what column is common to both? What column is common to both from what we just looked at now?
Department.
Department what?
Department ID.
Department ID. Thank you very much. So for us to match this, I'll come here, selecting the first column I want to match it with. Then I'll come here, still in your home tab, we have the feature called, here in the combined group, we have the feature called merge queries. You can also find this merge queries here. When you click on this, can you see this calendar icon? If I click on the drop down button here, you'd see the merge queries option also here. You see it here. But I'm going to go with this one here in the combined group inside the home tab. So I'll click on the drop down button and we have two options. There is merge queries and there's merge queries as new. For this merge queries, it means I want to merge the data another table directly to this one, to this employee details. Then for this merge as new, I'm going to merge a query and different using these two table. I'll just make it separately to form a new query, a new table. So let's look at both options, merge queries. So I'll click on the first one, merge queries. For the first one, now we have this merge dialog box that says, okay, you want to merge, right? Now, what column do you want to merge employee details with? I would say I want to merge it with the department details. And the next thing is, okay, what is that unique column between both? There's department ID here and there's department ID here. I'll just click on both. The moment I click on both, the next one is the join kind. What is the join kind? If you click on this drop down button, we have different join kinds. There's left outer join, there's right outer join, there's full outer join, there's inner join. And so I'm supposed to have created this, but let's see. Let me open my PowerPoint and just quickly run something. Supposed to have. Okay. Now, I want to believe we did set theory in school. Everybody, when we in primary school, that primary or secondary school, where we have union, we have intersection. So I'm just going to yes. Okay, so I'm not supposed to. So let me just show something. So I'll insert okay. I'll insert shape. This is what I want to work with. Okay. Okay. So first, left join. What left join is I'm not going to just do this. I'm supposed to have designed something to explain that. Sorry about that. So what left join is saying for left join, we are saying use the department ID on the left table, which is the employee table, employee details table, use it to draw out information from the department details. So you're saying return everything on the employee details table, then use the department ID on the employee details table to draw out information that match on the department details table. That is for left join. You can see here, it means including intersection, the one that is common to both to both table. Then return everything also in the left table. Then that is for left join. For right join, we are saying for right join that let me clear this. Oh God, what did I just do? Yeah, for left join, so I'm just going to now for left join, I'm saying that we've done for left join, sorry, return all the table from the left, including the intersection, the one, use the ID in the left table to draw out information from the right table, from the department table. Then for the right join, I'm saying that return everything on the right table, that is return everything on department details table, including the one that match on the left table. That's for right join. So it will return all the department ID table. Then it will use the ID in the department column to draw out information from the employee details column. Then the next one is we have the inner join. The inner join is just the one common to both, the intersection of both. That's what inner join is. I'll just go back so we can look at it. So left join, right outer join, full outer join, all this one. The full outer join is return everything on both tables. Return all on the left table, return all on the right table. Then inner join, return only the matching rows. So let's just we'll look at left outer join first and we'll look at right outer join. The right and inner. So for this one, I want it to return all the table here in the employee details. Then use the department ID here to draw out information from this table, the department details. So I'll leave it at left outer join. And you can see here the selection matches 10 of 10 rows from the first table. And I'll hit OK. That was when we use the only merge queries. So if you look at this now, it has merged this table, department details, to this one. It has made it directly to the employee details. If I had chosen merge queries as new, it will form a new table. So let's see. I'm going to remove these steps that I applied. And I'll merge it as new. So come here. I'll go with the next option, merge queries as new. So they form a new query entirely from that. And I'll select department details. Then this is the common column between both tables. Leave it as left outer join. So it's telling you 10 of 10 rows from the table match. So I'm going to hit OK. So to form a new query entirely, merge one. So I'll give this full employee details. So what happened? Remember all the table here, we have how many columns? For this employee details, we have 5 columns, 10 rows. So when we use the left outer join, it returns all the columns in the left table, which is the employee details table, all the columns here, then the number of rows, then it merge it with the employee details. How then do I bring it in? Currently, you're seeing it's showing table. To expand this, we have a node here, this node that is showing like arrow. Click on that node, and it brings this. So you're saying, okay, you want to expand. What do you want to do? Since I already have department ID here, I don't need to bring it in. So I'll uncheck all. So hold on, what did we merge this to? Oh, sorry, we merged it to itself. We merged this to itself. So let's go back. We merged this to itself. So I'm sorry, we merged this, and nobody told me I would delete this. We merged this table to itself. Yes, so I'll do it again. Select this merge queries as new. Then I'll select department details. Yeah, so I'm merging this to this 10 of 10 match, left outer join. So okay. So you can see it returned all the table in the left on the employee details. Then we have department details here. So click on that node. Since I already have department ID here, I don't want department ID again. So I'll uncheck all and check the ones that I want, excluding department ID, because I have it here already. Use original column name as prefix. If I use it as prefix, you would be saying department details dot department ID. Let's see what happens if you leave this checked and hit OK. So it will expand the table, merging department details table to the employee details table. So you can see it here. The reason why I said I think you uncheck that box, you will not be seeing this name as department details dot. So it also took the table name, then the column name. How do I fix this? Just click on this settings button, then go and remove this name. Remove it and hit OK. So to fix that. So you can see I don't have to start going to the department details table. I'm seeing that this is John Doe. The department ID is 101. And 101, this is the department name, sales, located in New York. This is Jane Smith. Our department ID is 102. 102 is the marketing team, marketing department, I mean, and it's located in Los Angeles. So this is merging. You just look at left outer join. And let's look at right outer join. I said for right outer join, it would return all the table on the right table, all the column on the right table, I mean, then merge it with the one that matches with it on the left table. What do I mean? Let's do it again. So I'm going to rename this full employee details, employee details left, to show that we use the left outer join. Enter. So let's look at right outer join. So I'll select employee details again. I want to merge the queries, merge as new with department details. But this time around, I'm going to use the right join. So I would say department details. Department is common to both, and I'm going to use the join kind to be right outer join. So you can see I've seen 4 of 4 rows from the second table. Let me hit OK and let's see. We have a new merge. So we have it here, department details. So I'm going to uncheck or check department details, check location. Okay. So you can see this here. You're seeing, let me go back. Let's look at department details. During departments we have 101, 102, 103, 104. Let's look at employee details. We have 101, 102, 103. We have 104 too. And you look at, we have Lisa White. Some person's name will not be on this full one, this second table. Some person's name will not be there. We have, let's see, John Doe, Sam Brown, James Smith. I'm trying to look at, I think we all have their names. Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to go back and see 101, 101, 102, 102, 103, 101, 104. Okay, I think, yeah, for this example, it works for everything because we almost have the same this thing, the same column, department ID. So I didn't mean for this department details, we only had like maybe 101 and 102 and 103. There was no 104. It would not include the person having department ID 104 because it's using the department details in department ID to draw out information. But we all have the same, like we have all the IDs here, it's still the same thing that is here. Nothing is missing. That's why I return everything for us. Then for the full outer join will return both tables together. Then the inner join will only return the one that is common to both of them. So you can just try that out. Our time is fast spent. Then that's for merging, how you can merge columns together. Most of the time, most people use the left join to join their tables together. So I'm just going to delete this and I'll leave it at the delete. I'll leave it at this one that I merged together. So do you have anybody have any question around merging? Are you confused? Do you want me to go over it again so you can understand? So which one? Anybody? Anybody, do we understand this part or you want to go over it again?
Yes, ma. Please go over it again, ma.
Okay. So I'll go over this for the last time. Merging. So let me just delete this. So I want to merge these two columns together. Don't let me complicate this. I'll just use the left join so you can understand. I want to merge these employee details and department details together. Select the employee details, the one you want to merge the other table with first. Employee details. I'll go to my merge queries, click drop down button and select merge queries as new. I want to merge it into a different query, from a different query. Then I have this here. So it's going to ask you, this is the table you want to merge. What do you want to merge it with? I want to merge with the department details. So I'll click on the drop down button here and select the department details. The next thing is, what is the common column between both tables? It is the department ID. So I'll select this here and I'll select this here. Remember to select that, it will tell you if it's match. Now you can see we have the selection matches 10 of 10 rows from the first table. So I'm okay, and I'll hit OK. It will form a new query. So I'll name this query from merge 1 to full employee details. Hit enter. But once you join it in, it still won't expand. You have to really want to expand it yourself. You can see we only have employee details merged as a table. So to expand it, we have a node at the top. Click on that node. Then here, uncheck all. Since we have department ID, there's no need to bring it in again. So I will not check this box. I'll check department name and location. We have use original column name as prefix. I'm going to uncheck this. I don't want it to use original column name as prefix. I'll hit OK. Then we'll have department name and location. You can see it brought those two columns, department name and location. It brought them in here. So you can see the employee details in full and also department and name. So now I get to see John Doe is in department 101, is in sales department, and is located in New York. Very simple. This is how you merge your data together. Is anybody lost? Is anybody lost? You want me to find you, or you have question? Anybody? Okay, so can I continue? Oh, our time is fast spent. I would have loved to show us how to append, but we'll do that in our next class. We'll look at how to append together in our next class. And so in our next class, we'll be looking at how to append data. We'll look at data modeling, how to split into fact table and dimension table, and also we'll look at power pivot, where we're looking at some DAX function, how to create measures based on some DAX functions, create calculated column. Then we'll be building a report using Microsoft Excel next weekend. So come fully prepared. All right, so in 2 minutes, can someone share with us what he or she has picked from today's class in 2 minutes? So Okoyemi, are you there? So in 2 minutes, is Okoyemi even here? Okoyemi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right,
I'm here.
thank you. So can you in 2 minutes share with me what you picked from the class?
Okay.
Yeah.
2 minutes is not enough time, but I'm going to try to summarize all I've learned. Yes.
Yeah.
Although I joined the class late because I had engagements, since I've joined, we've been I joined when we were looking at calculated fields in
Pivot table.
pivot table. Then we saw how to use calculated field to generate revenue. Then after that, I learned how to create calculated fields, really, there. And also today, I've always struggled with this left outer join, and it's really important, especially in SQL, but I think I get a good grasp of it. I believe when I watch the video again, it will stick. And apart from that, we saw how we revised again how to clean unwanted rows. We also saw how to um, how to merge queries, still talking about the joins, how to also how to work smart by splitting. And okay, I think I'll stop there
Okay.
for
All right.
now.
Thank you. Thank you
I
very
have
much. All
everything
right.
down in my
Basi, are you
head.
there? Basi, are you there? Can you hear me? Can Basi hear me? Okay. If you're saying something, you're muted, Basi. Okay, before Basi comes in, Mata, are you there? Is Mata on the call with us? She has left us. Okay. I'm trying to pick. All right, Winnie, can you hear me? Can Winnie hear me? I want one female. Okay, so who wants to go? Like, what have you picked from the class? Okay, so Anna wants to go. All right, Anna, can we hear from you?
Hello?
So Anna, you can say something.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so you talked about pivoting
Okay.
and pivoting, where we turn columns to rows and rows to column. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Your voice is just low a bit. So if you
It's
can
slow.
help us increase the volume. Yeah. Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
So you talked about pivoting and pivoting where we transform or change columns to rows and rows to column. We talked about that. Then you talked about how we can change the position of a column. Maybe
Okay.
it's at the end of the table. We can actually take it to the front or to the left or to the right. And also merging queries using inner join, outer join. We talked about that, how we can do that. So that's what some of the things I got from the class. Thank you.
All right. So thank you so much. Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you. All right. So we've come to the end of the class. We'll meet again next weekend, by next week, Friday, 6 p.m. as usual. And I already told us what we're looking at next week. We'll be wrapping up with our Microsoft Excel class next weekend. Yeah, this is there's been an amazing session so far with every one of us. Thank you so much for your time and for giving yourself to learning. I'll be sending us a new assignment either today or tomorrow. Would get a notification for that. So although I've given us an hint of what to look like, but I'll still share it tomorrow. So you work on it. I'll tell us how to go about it, and we'll fix a deadline for the submission. So see you all by next weekend. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Wisman Opeyemi. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Basi. Thank you, Grace. Thank you, everybody, for joining in tonight. So we'll continue again next weekend. Yeah, do well to practice because you're practicing beats the perfection. So just practice as much as you can. So we see you next week. Thank